This might better help you understand Tory Lanez's charges, how he got convicted, and why he faces such a long time. The one charge alone of assault with a semi-automatic firearm in California, if it was assault with a firearm, then he would face 1 year county jail time. And if it was charged as a felony, that same assault, he would face 2 to 3 or 4 years. But with a semi-automatic firearm, it's always a felony and you face 3 to 12 years. Not only that, but when you're thinking of assault, you might think that somebody has to get harmed. But in California, especially in Los Angeles, you don't have to be harmed to prove assault, okay? You can be convicted in California of assault with a firearm and face hefty penalties above, even if you did not injure anyone. In fact, you can be convicted under the penal code even if you didn't touch or otherwise make physical contact with your victim. Okay, so assault could simply just be having the gun. The second charge is having the gun in the vehicle, and then it's unregistered. That's going to be a charge in California. The third, negligent discharge of a firearm, and this criminal offense is defined as willfully, remember the jury said that, discharging a firearm in a grossly negligent manner. Now, no matter what you think of the case, this is easily provable in California, even if you just grab a gun, let it go off, don't have to prove intent.
What's happening? What's good? What's going on? Part of my Presence YouTube channel. As you heard from last night, the verdict came through. Tory Lanez has been found guilty of all 3 charges. And if you let the media tell it, he has been found guilty of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. This is a win for women everywhere. This is an extension of the Me Too movement. You must believe women. Megan Thee Stallion is the victim, and that should be the only focus on the matter. And Tory Lanez is a short to small in stature, fragile man with an ego that caused him to attack many people and also caused him to shoot a woman because a woman made a personal attack on his music abilities and his career. Now, if you didn't know any better, you would believe all of those things and you would rush to judgment and you would become part of the social media enclave that are either attacking men or are attacking women. And that's really what this boils down to, is that this has created a divide, greater divide than what was already there in regards to the gender wars that's happening, in regards to men and women who have different insights on domestic abuse or domestic violence, feminists, people or men who are considered misogynists or red pill. All of these different categories and labels that people identify with, they've brought all of those people out of the woodwork, and they're all fighting, they're all bickering, they're all making their own statements and arguments. But we should not lose sight of what actually happened in this case. And that's why I played that video earlier in regards to the 3 actual charges. Big up to Facet for breaking that down. But those charges and the definitions of the law and the threshold to be found guilty of those charges are very important. And if you look at the heart of the matter and what he was actually charged with, you can see that Tory Lanez was never found guilty of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. He was never found guilty of doing any harm to Megan Thee Stallion. He was found guilty of being in possession of an unregistered illegal firearm. This was more of a gun case than it was a domestic violence case. This was more of a issue with handguns or semi-automatic machine guns than it was a case of assault and battery against a woman or some type of extension of the Me Too movement of men abusing women. That's not what this case was about. So I see a lot of people saying, believe women or believe all black women, all these different narratives that have been put out there on social media and said by Megan Thee Stallion over and over and over again for the past 2 years. And it really shows you how either misinformed people are or how indoctrinated people can become and brainwashed to believe certain things and get stuck in their points. Now, what I really want to address here is the assault charge, because everyone's saying, well, he was found guilty of assault. But like that video showed, in California, assault with a semi-automatic, does not mean you have to point a weapon at someone. It doesn't mean you have to physically harm them or attack them or even touch them. All that is required is that you invoke fear. That's it. And based on the witness, the only eyewitness of the case, which was some guy named, I think, Sean Kelly, who saw everything from his balcony, when he said that he saw two women fighting, there was a flash from the one woman, and then the smallest guy came out, and then he grabbed something that looked like a gun, and then he shot. There was flashes coming from him when he was shooting all over the air. That is enough for assault with a semi-automatic weapon, because now Tory Lanez, if that's what if to believe what the eyewitness is saying, what he's saying is that Tory Lanez discharged a firearm, and he did it in what could be considered as a negligent or reckless manner. But it doesn't mean that the jury is saying he shot Megan Thee Stallion, and I think that's what people are getting confused here. The jury did not even consider that. Megan Thee Stallion, although she testified, she really wasn't the main issue of this case. All she was there for is to confirm that there was a gun present and that the gun was discharged. And why that's important? Because it does show that the weapon was fired, the weapon was there, and the weapon belonged to somebody and was in Tory Lanez's hand at some point in time. And this is where it comes down to the other witness, Kelsey. Because what happened to Kelsey when she testified was pretty interesting, because I've never seen a situation where a witness is on the stand and the witness, and this is a witness who was the best friend of Megan Thee Stallion, and then they had a falling out as of that particular night. And ever since then, there's been back and forth. There's been attacks on Kelsey by Megan Thee Stallion's fan base, so on and so forth. Even Kelsey making insinuations and remarks that she knows exactly what happened and people are lying. So there's been a lot of things thrown out there throughout the year and a half that this was leading up to this trial. But what was interesting is the fact that Kelsey is on the stand, and while on the stand, she asked for immunity, and the DA grants her immunity. Why would that be required, especially at that point, in that manner? I've never seen that stuff on Law and Order. I've been watching Law and Order since the beginning with Sam Watterson, and when the black cop was there as well too. I've been watching Law and Order for a long time, and I've never seen a situation where a witness for the DA is asking for immunity. And the reason why she asked for immunity, because she obviously did something illegal and didn't want to incriminate herself. But what could that possibly be? Because she was at the party at Kylie Jenner's house. They were getting drunk. They left abruptly. They had to, or Megan Thee Stallion decided to go back in because she was upset that Tory Lanez was still there, so on and so forth. And then the rest of it is kind of murky, whether there was a fight that occurred, or whether or not Tory Lanez mentioned to Megan Thee Stallion, or mentioned to Kelsey that I don't know why Megan Thee Stallion is upset by me being with Kylie Jenner, because Megan Thee Stallion is also sleeping with me, or whatever the case may be, whatever the love triangle was. Right? The whole thing here is that Tory Lanez said something that got the two women upset, and they started fighting. They were all drunk. Megan Thee Stallion is known to be a drunk, a belligerent drunk. There's videos of her on social media about her having those events where she's giving shots to all of the female artists that she has in a room or in a party. There's also a video of her forcing Chloe Bailey to drink, and Chloe Bailey doesn't want to drink, and she's almost upset that Chloe doesn't want to partake in taking shots with her, right? So she could be very mean and very ill-spirited based on what we've seen, right? And all this information is out there. You can look at it for yourself. You can see it there. But what I found interesting is the fact that clearly, based on the eyewitness testimony, he said that there was a fight between the two women, and it was very violent, and they were going at it, and no one else was outside, just those two women. And then I guess one woman went back to the car, and then they continued fighting, and there was a flash. And then that's when the two other men came out. So just by hearing all of that information, anyone could surmise that the shot that probably injured Megan Thee Stallion came from the altercation with the other woman being Kelsey. There is no other woman that was involved there. So clearly, the jury probably believes that Megan Thee Stallion was shot by Kelsey, but it didn't matter because that's not why Tory Lanez was on trial. Tory Lanez was on trial for having an illegal gun, for shooting an illegal gun, and evoking fear based on him shooting that illegal gun. And this is where it comes down to why Tory Lanez did not testify. Because many people were asking, well, why didn't he testify and give his account of everything that was going on? Because there's so many stories, 5 different stories from 5 different people. Why not tell his own to give as much reasonable doubt as possible? Well, then you have to look at what he's being charged with. It's gun crimes. And the only way that Tory Lanez could clear the air on whether he shot Megan Thee Stallion is for him to admit exactly what happened, which is it was his gun. He brought it there. It was in his vehicle. He grabbed the gun from Kelsey when Kelsey took it and shot Megan Thee Stallion, and he shot it in the air out of frustration, out of confusion, or out of just trying to get 2 belligerent women in control. And if he were to say that, then he is essentially confessing to the exact crimes that he's being charged with. And not only that, he would have to point out Kelsey as the person who shot Megan Thee Stallion. And in the hip-hop community, that's being seen as a snitch, and Tory Lanez doesn't want to be identified as a snitch, especially when you're pointing fingers at another woman. That's not gonna end well. It's not gonna look good, right? So he was really between a rock and a hard place. He could not take the stand. He had to keep his mouth shut, and hopefully the jury will be blinded by this case of many different stories. But the jury was pretty clear as to what was going on here. It was pretty straightforward as to the fact that the gun was there, he shot it, and it's illegal. And that's what it all came down to. Nothing to do with Megan Thee Stallion. The media and how they're running away with this false narrative, it's wrong. And it's really telling as to if something else is going on here. Because I saw a video of Tory Lanez's father, and I'll be honest, when Tory Lanez's father came out, I thought that was Tory Lanez from 22 years later after he came out of prison. That's how much he looks like Tory Lanez, right? It's crazy. But when his father came out and made his statement, a couple of things were interesting. Is the fact that he's saying the reason why this happened was that Tory Lanez refused to sign to Roc Nation. Now, a lot of people could say that's a conspiracy theory, and yes, that may be true, but here's one thing I just want to throw out there. There was some issue with Megan Thee Stallion going to the Roc Nation label, just based on the fact that she was already signed with another label in Houston, and that situation wasn't cleared up yet. So that was a point of contention. But also part that I found interesting is the fact that in the trial, it was revealed that Megan Thee Stallion told Kelsey to go after Tory Lanez when they saw him at the Roc Nation brunch. Why is Tory Lanez at the Roc Nation brunch? He was not with Roc Nation. Probably because he was there to get brought in, and they're probably trying to court him to get him to sign. And who knows whether or not Megan Thee Stallion putting Kelsey on Tory Lanez was an attempt to make sure that he got signed. And who knows if there's a referral fee that Megan Thee Stallion would get. I don't know. But it does seem interesting. Why would you send your friend to go and, reel a man in and to go mess with the man? As a man myself, I've never got one of my friends to go and date a woman or go and court another woman, and then afterwards I end up sleeping with that woman too. I've never had any intention or inclination to do that. So I find it quite weird that she would actually push her friend to do such a thing, unless it was for the purpose of trying to seal some type of deal with Roc Nation. Like, this is a perk that you get from Roc Nation. You get to sleep with, people's hanger-ons or whatnot. I don't know. But it's pretty interesting when you look at all the details and put them all together. What was that situation with Roc Nation? And did that have any factor in this? Because the one thing I will say is that both sides were using social media pages like the Shade Room, like other quote unquote independent media, DJ academics, no jumper, so on and so forth, they definitely received pay to put out certain stories, to change the narrative, to sway public opinion, for social engineering. A lot of these people are getting paid to put out certain things and to post certain things and to try to change the public perception. So we've seen that. So it just goes to show that there's probably some other issues under the table behind the scenes that we have no idea what it's about. But I don't see how even Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez even get together to begin with, right? One is very tall and big. I think she's like 5'10", and Tory Lanez is quote unquote small in stature. He's 5'7". It was an odd pairing to begin with, but apparently they've been fooling around for quite some time. So who knows why that was all going down? This was something that was done behind the public eye, so no one even knew that they were messing around. So just goes to show you how odd Hollywood and the music industry really is. And I think we should stop looking at these people as relatable. We should stop looking at these people as people we need to emulate. We need to stay clear from these people because we don't know what lengths they've gone to become successful. We don't know what type of deals they made with the devil to attain their success and to attain their wealth. But we need to really, really look at each other, normal people living normal lives, 9-to-5 jobs, and figure out how we could stop looking at these stars and trying to live up to these expectations that are unreasonable and a lot of times unattainable, and figure out how us men and women can actually come to a common ground, be more relatable, heal each other, and work towards a goal that we could all benefit from. Because looking at movie stars, music artists, we are destroying each other and we are losing more and more abilities to relate to each other and to have conversations with each other and to disagree peacefully with each other. All of those things are being thrown out the window because of all these polarizing events and news stories. So that's really my take on all of the situations. Again, am I surprised that Tory Lanez was found guilty? I was at first, until I did research on what those charges were, and I realized, no, he was guilty. He was guilty. And the way how it was spun, I don't think people understood exactly what happened, right? So the only takeaway I have from this is that do your research. Don't believe what the bloggers say. Don't believe what social media or news stations say. Do the research, find out the real details, and then assess the situation for yourself, because only then will you not be surprised, and only then will you not waste your time looking into these things and arguing with people online. Right? So that's how I feel. That's my take on the situation. Let me know if you agree or disagree about it. Leave in the comment section. You can share it as well too. Until next time, as I always say, next move, best move. I hope Tory Lanez's next move is his best move. And again, I think both of these characters, their career, I don't think it's going to elevate. I think it's going to be on a decline because this story is not good for either of them. Right? So again, let me know what you think. Part of my presence YouTube channel. Peace.